It all began on the frigid, snowy evening of March 5th, 1770, on King Street in the city of Boston. The city was on edge, and years of growing resentment against British rule was about to ignite. On this fateful night, hostilities would explode into violence and change the course of history. This is the Boston Massacre. The event unfolded when Edward Garrick, a wigmaker's apprentice, shouted at a British officer, accusing him of not paying for a wig. Nearby, Private Hughes White, a British soldier on guard duty at the custom house, overheard the commotion. Angered, he swung his musket at Garrick, striking him on the head. The news of the altercation spread quickly throughout the streets, and a large mob descended on the British sentry. As the crowd grew, the frightened sentry called for reinforcements. 7 British soldiers, led by Captain Thomas Preston, marched to his aid with fixed bayonets. As the shocked 9 soldiers stood there, the crowd swelled to about 400 people. The mob hurled insults at the soldiers, some daring them to open fire, while others threw snowballs, rocks, and sticks. The situation turned chaotic and quickly escalated, and what happened next remains murky. But what appears is that someone yelled fire, and Private Hughes Montgomery pulled his trigger. The other soldiers followed, shooting into the crowd, creating mayhem and death. Though the shooting lasted only a few seconds, it resulted in the death of 5 colonists and the injury of many others. The outrage was immediate and quickly spread throughout the colonies. The British soldiers involved in the shooting were arrested and put on trial. Interestingly, John Adams, who later became the 2nd President of the United States, agreed to defend the soldiers. Adams believed they had the right to a fair trial. Captain Thomas Preston and the 6 of his men were acquitted of all charges. The jury believed the soldiers had been provoked and acted in self-defense. 2 soldiers, Hugh Montgomery and Matthew Kilroy, were found guilty of manslaughter and received a relatively light sentence. They were only branded on their thumbs. The Boston Massacre didn't happen in isolation. Before the massacre, colonists were already upset at British authorities due to taxation without representation imposed by the Stamp Act and the Townshend Act, along with the burdensome Quartering Act requiring colonists to house British soldiers. The Boston Massacre only fueled already growing tensions and would be used as a propaganda tool by the colonist leaders like Samuel Adams and Paul Revere. It would be used by colonists as a symbol of British tyranny and oppression and help unite the colonists against British rule. In the end, this tragic event was seen as one of the key moments leading up to the American Revolution.